Welcome to another episode of SportsVibe. I'm your host, Arnav Sarkar, here with episode 70. It's been about a year and a half since I started this. A lot of life changes, but I'm still going strong. Just another episode to recap all things college football, the NFL, and baseball. Preview next week, but the World Series with the Yankees down 3-1 against the Dodgers. They did win last night at the time of this recording, but let's start with college football. We started with a big game on Thursday night with Syracuse taking on Pittsburgh in the ACC. Pittsburgh Panthers look really good. They're 7-0. Syracuse 5-2 after falling. Kyle McCord threw 5 interceptions, just not really good at all. Eli Holstein, an efficient 11 for 15, 108 and 2 touchdowns. Kyle McCord, a busy day through the air, 35 of 64, 321 and 5 picks. The ground game, LaQuint Allen, 15 carries, 32 yards, but it was all Pitt up 31-0 in the first half alone, and then Syracuse could never get anywhere close to closing the gap. But yeah, that was Thursday night. Pittsburgh looks good to potentially sneak into the playoff, depending on how the ACC shakes up, because SMU very good as well at 7-1. Of course, Miami, leading the conference on 6th ranking in the country. Friday night, a doubleheader, one game featuring Rutgers, and that was definitely quite the interesting football game for the Scarlet Knights, because they fell to 4-4 with a 42-20 loss against the USC Trojans. Ethan Kaliakmanis, had a big game through the air. The offense is actually not holding the team back. It's the defense, because of so many injuries. I believe Longerbeam and Tyreen Powell, just a lot of the starters in general, just not on the field, but they're getting gashed. I mean, the 4-0 Magic start is all gone. It's 4-4. The team just looked defeated against Wisconsin. UCLA goes in there, and then USC moves the ball through the air on the ground. I mean, no issues for 308 yards, 2 touchdowns on an efficient 20 of 28. Jaquavius Marks, 94 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. Makai Lemon, the deep threat, the speedster through the air, 134 and a touchdown. For Rutgers, it was Kaliakmanis, 27 for 47, 313 and a touchdown. Monunga, 18 carries, 86 yards, took a hard hit. Dymere Miller, 11 receptions for 131 yards. They were able to get close, but Rutgers inconsistent. Ethan overthrowing Dymere Miller, who could have had even more yards, but on the one drive, hit Dymere with the deep shot, got Dremel in the end zone. Rutgers' best slant receiver. It's good to see him getting back in the action, and then Rutgers running the Philly special with Kaliakmanis in the end zone to cut it to an 8-point game. But after that, it was SC very quickly scoring a touchdown and one more in towards the end of the third quarter. Fourth quarter, just kind of a snooze fest on both sides, as USC just won about 2:30 a.m. Eastern time. The game ended. The other game at the time was Boise State taking on UNLV, and just a disappointing 4-4 season now for Rutgers, as they look to get to bowl eligibility bye week this week, and hopefully 1 month to turn things around, get 2 wins, Minnesota, Maryland, Illinois, and Michigan State. So it's going to be tough, but we'll see what happens. It doesn't look like they're going to be going anywhere south or west for the bowl game, to one of the premier destinations, but it is what it is, I guess. It's a rebuild. It's a developmental program. I think Greg Schiano needs to take notes from Kirk Cignetti in Indiana, but we'll touch on that a little later. Boise taking on UNLV. One of the top games here. 2 of the top teams in the Mountain West. Both teams, vying for that playoff spot. UNLV took their second loss. Not really too great for their playoff purposes. But Boise State stamping their favorites as champions in the Mountain West, with a big win here, are the 15th ranked team now in the country, looking to get that G5 auto bid, and their loss was a 3-point loss to number 1 Oregon way back in the beginning of the season. But Maddox Matson, the quarterback, 17 for 40 and a touchdown. Dylan Gabriel. Oh, wait, this is from the Oregon game. My apologies, but from the From the UNLV taking on Boise game, Maddox Matson, 18 for 33, 209, a touchdown. Ashton Jeanty, the Heisman candidate, going for 33, 128, and a touchdown. On one of his lowest efficiencies of the season, but that's because UNLV stacked the box. Hutch Malik Williams, 12 for 21, 179, 2 touchdowns and a pick, and 105 yards on the ground, 19 carries. A truly dual threat quarterback for the Rebels, but Boise able to hang on there. Notre Dame taking down Navy, 51-14 for the Fighting Irish. Put an end to Navy's run as undefeated, and just a humiliating loss. Although Navy's still 6-1, they've dominated everyone on their schedule, or at least one. Not even too many close games. Memphis played them close, but this time Notre Dame just completely overmatched them as they should. The triple option with Blake Horvath going for 88 through the air, 129 on the ground, but it was all Notre Dame. Notre Dame still plays Army, the other undefeated Service Academy team, in a few weeks. It's a home game for the Fighting Irish, I believe, or there might also be a neutral. I think that's a neutral site also at MetLife. But yeah, Notre Dame, number 8, looking for that playoff spot. 12-team playoff is going to benefit them as well. Let's see. Ole Miss taking down Oklahoma, 6-2, are the Rebels as they try to hang in the playoff picture, although they're number 19. Indiana continues to roll. They're 8-0, taking down the Washington Huskies, remaining undefeated with their backup quarterback, Taven Jackson in the action, and Justice Ellison on the ground. And IU, really, what a team the Hoosiers have this year. They get Michigan State next week. Then they take on Michigan, who's also been in a down spell, although they did beat MSU. A big matchup against number 4 Ohio State, who has the big game against Penn State, and then Purdue. So Indiana could really be looking at 11-1 and a playoff bid. A home game and everything. So that should be really cool. They beat Nebraska 56-7 last week, and this week Ohio State struggles but gets the win 21-17 over the same Nebraska team. So that's quite the interesting comparison. Will Howard couldn't really get a lot done, but got enough done against Dylan Raiola and company. Dylan Raiola throwing the pick at the end. Will Howard, 221, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Carnell Tate, 102 and a touchdown. The ground game got slowed down. Judkins with 10 carries, 29 yards. Nebraska taking the lead in the fourth quarter, but Ohio State finding the offense. They better be careful because Penn State next week, I've got a bold prediction here, but OSU struggling to hold off Nebraska, shifting over to Oregon, taking on Illinois. This is the true number 1 team in the nation. Illinois, 6-2. They've looked good against capable opponents. Although they did fall 21-7 to Penn State, but they've been able to take care of business against most of the other teams. This is the difference between a good and a great team. Oregon, absolute domination there. Dylan Gabriel, 291, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Altmaier struggling with 161 and 2 picks, but Oregon showing why they're the number 1 team in the country. 38-9 win. To keep this going, Miami wins, stays undefeated. Alabama shuts out Missouri, who's still clinging to a ranking, probably just because of their SEC nature. But Bama bouncing back after 3 sluggish games where they, after their defeat of Georgia, fell to Vanderbilt, hung on against South Carolina, failed to knock off Tennessee, and a struggle win here against, not a struggle win, a good win against Missouri, but 3 straight tough not losses, 2 losses to both Tennessee schools and a tough win against South Carolina. But the Crimson Tide rolling back, Drew Pine completely embarrassed with 6 for 12, 42 yards, 3 interceptions, and Jalen Milrow, 16 for 26, 215. Justice Haynes, 79, and a touchdown. Jeremy Bernard, the leading receiver for the Crimson Tide, 5 receptions for 82 yards, and Alabama with a statement win. Speaking of Vanderbilt, they do fall to 5-3, but they put up a really good fight. Both quarterbacks threw 2 picks. Diego Pavia playing fearless as always, but he ran out of magic. And on this one, Vanderbilt was down 27-17, not able to quite make up the gap, but played another national title contender very close. And, the tide is turning in Vanderbilt. Impressive win over Alabama, and they played a really good SEC team very close, like I just mentioned. But it was Quinn Ewers and company winning that one. One of the games that I was watching in the afternoon slate, really good one as well. LSU taking on A&M. I think this was one of the best games of the week in the night slate. Garrett Nussmeier, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 25 of 50, 50% completion, 405 yards. But that A&M crowd just getting rowdy for it, and they might just be the best team in the SEC. Maybe not, but they're now ranked 10 after the opening loss to Notre Dame, and they've won every game since. And this one over a good LSU team. I believe the only teams in the SEC ranked higher are Texas, and that might be it. I don't know who Georgia, obviously, but yeah. And then Penn State, Wisconsin, PSU knocking off Wisconsin. Drew Aller left at halftime. He had an efficient 148 yards on 14 of 18. And a touchdown, the big showdown against the Buckeyes next week. But Wisconsin had 3 straight wins over Purdue, Rutgers, and Northwestern in dominant fashion on both sides of the ball. This time they got outclassed on Brain Luck, 217 yards and a pick. And Penn State finding the life with Bo Prabula, who they might need again this time. But I mean, that Penn State defense suffocating, the offense rolling. I mean, this is going to be a good game between them and the Buckeyes. They look good. Like I said, bold prediction coming up soon. Kansas State holding off Kansas to win. I believe what's called the Sunflower Showdown. KSU going to 7-1, and Kansas falling to 2-6, but a tough win there by Avery Johnson and company. SMU hanging on to defeat Duke in overtime to move to 7-1, one of the ACC's top teams. And then Colorado moving to bowl eligibility, 6-2, knocking off the Bearcats, and they're very quietly in the conversation in the Big 12. Just to check the standings, our fourth, BYU rolling in first place with the number 9 spot, followed by Iowa State, also undefeated, Kansas State with 1 loss, Colorado with 2. But Colorado might be living up to the hype a bit more than last year, although still not quite a playoff team. But they are ranked, and Deion's getting the work done with a lot less attention on him this year. Yeah, and then the slate ended San Diego State falling to Washington State, who's also 7-1. Over in the Mountain West, Pac-12, Pac-2, whatever you want to call it. John Mateer, 257 and 2 touchdowns, and 42 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. But yeah, that's pretty much the week of college football. And then I guess just to preview some of the big games for next week while we're on the subject. Ohio State taking on Penn State. Definitely the big game. I do have a bold prediction, like I mentioned a few times, and that is Penn State, I think, is gonna come up with their first win since 2016. It's just a gut feeling. Ohio State can definitely win this game. They always play Penn State tough. They always find a way to win. They only lost by 1 to Oregon, although they left some points on the table there. But Penn State's playing good, even with their other, with whether it be Prabula or Aller. Their defense, they've just looked good. Ohio State just not looking too great, given it was 1 game against Nebraska. But Ohio State's been in a little bit of a funk lately. I think Penn State has what it has to. They have the roster this year. Ohio State, with the injury to their left tackle, Penn State always has a ferocious defense. They can get after the quarterback. I think they'll have just enough to take down the Buckeyes in a home game. It's going to be a pivotal matchup. Both Ryan Day and James Franklin struggle against top 5 competition. Franklin, I believe, 1-9 against OSU, and Ryan Day, I think, like something similar, 1-10 against top level competition or top 5 competition. So both teams struggling immensely among the best of the best, although they've been pretty good everywhere else. So one of these teams is going to win their first big game in quite a while, but it should be a really good game. I'm excited. I think Penn State has what it takes this year, but then again, they've also struggled with USC, some other teams on the schedule. Ohio State not really rolling in at their finest, but they're going to bring their A game, of course, to Pennsylvania. Definitely the game of the week on the big noon kickoff in College Game Day coming there. Noon kick, a little unfortunate, but I'm really looking forward to that one. Also on the schedule, let's see, Florida, Georgia, Oregon, Michigan. They should all be good games. Pittsburgh SMU in the night slot to let's see to decide one of the top teams in the ACC. Both teams with 7 wins. Pittsburgh 7-0, SMU 7-1, and then another one, Texas A&M taking on South Carolina, Michigan State taking on Indiana. Just a lot of good college football this Saturday. But OSU taking on PSU, definitely the game of the week. Duke taking on Miami, also notable because Duke is quietly 6-2. They've had a lot of close wins, but they've been able to get to a good record. Miami, with the 5th ranking, finds a way to stay undefeated week after week, with some help from the refs. But the Hurricanes, with an 8-0 record. Air Force taking on Army undefeated as well. Boise State taking on San Diego State, another Ashton Genty game, as he just continues to have ridiculous performances week in and week out. Although still probably not going to get to the Barry Sanders record, but yeah, I mean, the Ohio State Penn State I think highlights the slate here for college football. And then now to shift over to the NFL, we'll start with a little recap of all last week. The Rams on Thursday night dispatching the Vikings, giving the Vikings their 2nd loss of the season. This one a little bit surprising. Matt Stafford had 4 touchdowns and a pick. Nakua 106 yards in the air. Kyron Williams 97 on the ground. The Rams moved to just 3-4. The Vikings fall to 5-2. Just not really the best game, I guess, for Minnesota, but it was really a good performance by LA to really turn their season around. They're a lot more healthy now. They do have Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, and then they got Puka Nakua as well in the game. But yeah, definitely the Rams just playing good football, able to get the dub against a reeling Minnesota team, or not reeling, but their 2nd straight loss after falling to Detroit. So LA getting a good win there. The Packers hanging on against a struggling Jacksonville team, although a close game. Jordan Love 196 yards and a pick. Josh Jacobs a monster, 127 yards with 2 touchdowns. But it was kind of a back and forth affair there for Green Bay, who even tied or Jacksonville, who even tied the game at 27. But the Packers able to set up for a Brandon McManus 20-yard field goal to improve to 6-2 in their own right and keep pace in the very competitive NFC North, with the Lions at 6-1, the Packers 6-2, the Vikings 5-2, and the Bears 4-3. And we'll get to that Bears loss in just a second. But the Cardinals hanging on over a struggling Miami team. Tua Tagovailoa back in the lineup after a concussion early on in the season. Looked pretty good. 28 for 38, 234 and a touchdown. Kyler Murray, 26 for 36, 307 and 2 touchdowns. The NFC West, led by the Cardinals, tied with the 49ers and Seahawks at 4-4. So all teams still in the mix. The Rams 3-4, very much in the swing of things as well. So a game between 2 teams that trying to gain some ground there, won by Arizona. The AFC East with the Bills way ahead. The rest of the 3 teams, 2-5, 2-6, and 2-6, are the Dolphins, Pats, and Jets, with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets losing once again. I mean, this one, it just keeps getting worse. I mean, with all the talent they have, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, and they still find a way to lose to New England. It's the Drake May. It's not really the Drake May show, but he had some scoring going. They mixed up their 2 quarterbacks, Brissett going 15 for 24, 132, and a back and forth game. The Jets did have the lead, but it was the Patriots able to pull out the upset. The Jets scored a 2-yard touchdown to go up 22-17, but it was New England able to get the game winner, Ramondre Stevenson, and just a big win there for the Pats to snap the Jets streak. Just a few weeks ago, the Jets dominated New England at MetLife, and now both teams rolling at 2-6, and but the Patriots able to get another win over the Jets, and it's just a really disappointing season for them. But for Cleveland, after Deshaun Watson tore his ACL, Jameis Winston stepped in with 334 yards and 3 touchdowns and a win here, outplacing Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, who had Lamar with 289, 2 touchdowns, but a big upset win there by Cleveland to try to stay alive here. Only their 2nd win of the season. It's been a rough one for Browns fans, but able to hang on and a back and forth game, just like a lot of these other games. But it was it was Cleveland with the win at the end. Very wire to wire. Not wire to wire, but it was very back and forth. Like I mentioned. But yeah, Cleveland able to pull that one out. In the fourth quarter, Cleveland able to get up by 6. After a Cedric Tillman touchdown, Justin Hopkins field goal, Derrick Henry capped another Ravens drive with a touchdown, and the Justin Tucker extra point gave the Ravens a lead. But then it was the Browns marching down the field to get up by 5, and that would do it. Even though the 2-point conversion failed, but an impressive win there by the Browns. Jameis Winston does look a lot better of a quarterback than Deshaun Watson right now, and it showed in his first game. And the Browns with a big statement win over the former AFC North leading Ravens. Now the Steelers have the lead in that division 6-2. The Eagles taking down the Bengals. I was watching part of this game. Continue my trend of Eagles hate watching, but Saquon Barkley, 108 yards. Jalen Hurts, an efficient 16 for 20, 236. All the pieces in that offense looking healthy. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Lane Johnson as well, all back. And it was a back and forth game, but it was the Philadelphia Eagles finding their offense, getting the pass downfield to Devontae Smith. They've been able to move the ball. They're tied at 17, but since then it was all Philadelphia. Some tush push action as well in that game, as frustrating as that might be. And the Eagles move to 5-2. The Bengals slide to 3-5. The Texans knocking off the Colts to go to 6-2. Anthony Richardson now benched in Indianapolis. C.J. Stroud having a good game over in Houston, 25 for 37, 285. And the Texans hang on. The Colts 4-4. Houston 6-2 to lead the AFC South. Joe Flacco now in at quarterback in Indy. The Lions absolutely dominating the hapless Titans. Mason Rudolph now in at quarterback over there, 266 yards, touchdown, and 2 picks, while Jared Goff an efficient 12 for 15, 85, and 3 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs with 127 yards and a touchdown. Sam Laporta 48 yards and a touchdown, but it was really all Detroit. Tennessee couldn't move the ball, and the Lions completely roared over Tennessee. Falcons taking down the Buccaneers. The Bucs, who are one of the top teams in the NFL, falling now to 4-4. Kirk Cousins keeping the magic going, 276 yards, 4 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield with 330, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. And the second Falcons went over the Buccaneers in a few weeks there. Chargers continue to improve there, getting to 4-3, 26-8 win over the Saints, who started the season so strong and now have fallen to just 2-6. Spencer Rattler, 12 for 24 and 156. Justin Herbert, 279 and 2 touchdowns. LA trying to keep pace in the difficult AFC West, but the Chiefs still undefeated, hanging on against the Raiders. Mahomes continues to do Mahomes things, although he's been a little down this year. Even with all the injuries, they just continue to find ways to win. Other team tends to hang in there for a while, but Xavier Worthy, definitely a big piece of that offense. Travis Kelce with 90 yards and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt taking Isaiah Pacheco's place on the ground. And the Chiefs defense, Chris Jones, absolutely frustrating. And, that defense is just really good. But a late touchdown by Vegas gets them to 1 score. The Chiefs play the Bucs on Monday Night Football. We'll see when they end up losing their first game. But the Bills taking down the Seahawks. Seahawks continue to slide after a strong start to the season. The Bills 6-2, 31-10 win here. Josh Allen going for 283, 2 touchdowns and a pick. James Cook 111, 2 touchdowns. Just all Buffalo. The Commanders on a Hail Mary knocking off the Bears in the showdown between Jane Daniels and Caleb Williams. Jane Daniels played a really good game there. It was Washington. It was a very defensive battle, just 4 field goals for the Commanders. It was 12-0. The Bears able to get a couple touchdowns to take the lead, including a very late touchdown with only 25 seconds left in the fourth to go up 15-12. But on the last play of the game, Jane Daniels had a lot of time, ended up rolling left and throwing the touchdown pass into the end zone. It was tipped by a Bears defender who was the same one who was taunting the fans, and into the hands there of Noah Brown. And Washington escapes with an exciting win to remain at the top of the NFC East at 6-2, although the Eagles finding their stride at 5-2. So I think the division is going to be between those two, with the Cowboys 3-4 and the Giants 2-6. I'm looking forward to those Eagles Commanders games. Panthers falling to 1-7. Bryce Young back in action with 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Bo Nix with 3 touchdowns. The Broncos quietly 5-3. Doubling down Carolina. The Niners hanging on against the Cowboys in another battle of teams that used to be good, I guess. But the Niners 4-4 after hanging on against Dallas, starting to get some of their team back together. George Kittle had a big game. Brock Purdy had a big game. Dak Prescott, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 243. But the Niners really let it get out of hand. Dallas tried to come back. The Niners put them away, and stat padding touchdown by the Cowboys at the end of the game. As always, they're just 3-4. And the Giants, Daniel Jones plays a decent game on the road once again, although he had a touchdown, an interception at the end of the game, pretty embarrassing one like always. He had a fumble. The Giants stayed in the game due to the efforts of Darius Slayton, that defense. I'm just going field goal for field goal. They were tied 9-9, and Pittsburgh eventually got up by 2 touchdowns. Tyrone Tracy, an absolute beast. He had 149 yards on 20 carries and a touchdown, and he might just be the best running back on the team. So I mean, just really good running by Tracy, and some good defensive football as well. But they forced a fumble from Pittsburgh, but TJ Watt took it right back. I believe it was TJ Watt who got that turnover. Also, the Giants with a really embarrassing 2-point play that just got blown up. I don't know what they were thinking. They had 5 guys on the left, none of them blocked TJ Watt. And it was Pittsburgh all the way to win that one. But Daniel Jones does play a lot better on the road than he does at home. The only reason they were in this game is because it was on the road. It still wasn't enough to win in Pittsburgh, but a better effort from New York here on the same day that the Yankees fell down 3-0 in the World Series. But that's the NFL recap for this past week. I guess now on to the fun stuff, to the preview for next week. It's a lot of football, 16-game recap. But the Texans taking on the Jets to open up the week. The Jets just in total free fall at 2-6, and somehow Houston's a road underdog. I don't understand why, but I that doesn't really Stephon Diggs towards ACL. I think that could be part of it. He's done for the season. But I still think they'll beat the Jets. The Jets are going in the wrong direction. So Thursday night game there. Let's see. Who else? The Giants taking on the Commanders. That's this Sunday, and that's not looking forward to the second matchup there. The first matchup decided by the Giants, who could have won, but they needed a field goal kicker. This time the Commanders a lot better. They've really found their stride under Jaden Daniels. The Giants are going in the wrong direction, and they'll be back at home. So I'm sure Washington's going to get another win. Some of the other top games of the week here. Lions, Packers. That's a really good one in the NFC North. With the Packers at 6-2, the Lions at 6-1. Both teams among the top in their in the league and also in their division. But yeah, and then on top of that, the Colts taking on the Vikings is a Sunday night game. That should be a good one. The Bucks taking on the Chiefs. That should be a good one. Undefeated Chiefs. The Bucks have looked at some points to be one of the better teams in the NFL. The Vikings taking on the Colts, also a good game. But yeah, I mean, I guess just to run to the full schedule. Texans, Jets tomorrow on primetime Thursday Night Football. Saints taking on the Panthers in a battle of struggling teams. Commanders, Giants, Dolphins, Bills, Pats, Titans, Chargers, Browns, Cowboys, Falcons, Raiders, Bengals, Broncos, Ravens, Bears, Cardinals, Jaguars, Eagles, Rams, Seahawks, Lions, Packers, Colts, Vikings, and Bucks, Chiefs to close the week out. But that's going to be all the football I've got for this episode. Did want to spend some time on the MLB before I wrap things up here. Today's Game 5 of the World Series. The Yankees fell in 3 2-0 series whole before winning last night, and it's just been a heartbreak after heartbreak for this Yankees team after cruising past the Guardians and the Royals. Not so much the case. Freddie Freeman continues to keep hitting home runs. The game one went to extra innings, and it was the LA Dodgers with a four run. It was a grand slam in the extra innings by Freddie Freeman to win game one. Game two, I believe the Yoshinobu Yamamoto game, able to outpitch the Yankees. The Yankees got two on board in game two, but LA took a convincing 2-0 lead there. Aaron Judge has been very quiet this postseason. Stanton, I believe, in that game, he was not even the one to hit. Juan Soto hit a home run in that game, but sending it over to the Bronx, the Dodgers, another 4-2 win in the World Series. So just put them at 3-0. Freddie Freeman's hit a home run in 6 straight World Series games dating back to his time with Atlanta. So the Dodgers able to hold off the Yankees, who had 2 runs in the ninth, a Verdugo 2-run homer. But the series basically almost over. The Yankees able to stave off elimination with an 11-4 win over LA in the Bronx last night. Freddie Freeman, another home run. So this was a better game for the Yankees. They were able to hang in there in the 8th inning. Everything exploded, just getting hits, getting on base. Everyone getting in the action there. Gleyber Torres, a home run. Anthony Volpe, the grand slam for the New York brought up native, and Austin Wells with a home run as well. So this game's going to be Jack Flaherty versus Garrett Cole. Game 5, if the Yankees win, they can send it back to LA. They still need a couple more wins, but it isn't over till it's over. We saw that with the Edmonton Oilers last season, pushing the Panthers to 7. Let's see if the Yankees can at least get it to 6. It's going to be hard to do. I don't think any team's ever gotten past 5 in baseball. But yeah, I mean, it's the funny thing not so funny, but the funny thing that happened in the MLB game yesterday was a couple of Yankees fans trying to take the ball away from Mookie Betts, and they got themselves banned. But just embarrassing effort. They're trying to take the ball, get a lot of Mookie Betts' glove out. Some people say that's the boost the team needed, maybe, but just not really great fan interference there, and it's just pretty embarrassing. Yeah, I mean, it looks like they knew what they wanted to do, and they ended up trying to take the ball away from Mookie Betts, and it's cool, I guess, but it's not really cool, but it got me to laugh. I've got to admit, but the Yankees kind of still in deep trouble there. The Yankees great year. I mean, Stanton, Soto, who they want to keep, and of course Aaron Judge. But if it doesn't end in championship 28, what was it all worth? Just another good year in the Bronx. But unfortunate, the Dodgers do look good. They have Ohtani. They have some really good pitching. They did have the deeper lineup, which definitely showed, and they've definitely won the pitching matchup so far, except for last night. But yeah, I mean, pretty much a solid performance by LA, and that's about gonna do it here for this episode of Sports Vibe. As always, I'm your host, Arnav Sarkar. Next week we'll talk more college football, the NFL, and MLB. A little Penn State-Ohio State recap, which I'm really looking forward to, as well as talking some NFL, MLB, finishing touches on the MLB season, and some more stuff about the college football playoff. The rankings are going to come out next week, so I definitely want to talk about that, as well as some NBA and NHL action early season as well. So until then, I'm your host, Arnav Sarkar, and as always, we'll see you next time.